What's up, everybody? Welcome into the pod in the portal. Curtis Wilkerson and Scottie Bordelon here with you from Natty State Sports Studios in what's just kind of a nasty,
it's gross out.
dreary, gross Monday in Fayetteville. We've had a really fortunate run of weather, I think, for the better part of a month here. Mm-hmm. Today is an exception to that rule. It's gross outside. That's a really good way to put it.
It kept us from going to lunch. Ellis was talking about lunch hours ago. And we just never went.
Raining and stuff. We ain't got time for all that. The vibes are nasty outside, but the vibes are good in here. It's been an eventful day, probably about as busy of a day as we anticipated, with just kind of a flood of new names hitting the transfer portal. So we're going to hit on those guys, a handful of new names that we could probably guarantee that Arkansas is going to be heavily involved with, once the ball gets rolling a little bit. A few nuggets to share on some known targets that we've been talking about. We're going to have a little bit of fun at the end of this show, though, something that we came up with today. Scottie and I are going to do a transfer lineup draft out of the list of names of contacts that Arkansas has made in the portal so far. So we're going to try to put together a lineup. We know Eric Musselman, he likes to keep that rotation tight, about 7 deep. So so that's what we're going to do. Yeah. And then maybe we'll post the lineups on Twitter or something. We'll figure it out. We'll let the people vote or something.
Curtis is convinced he's going to get boat raced. I'm convinced I'm going to get boat raced. Tyler's just going to have to be the deciding factor on that. And then
that's 100% right.
We'll put it to a poll and
yeah.
I'll get boat raced.
Impartial judges. We'll figure it out one way or the other, but we're definitely looking forward to that.
Got about 40 plus names now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's cooking. Definitely over 40.
I haven't done a count yet, but
yeah, closing in on 50.
You're getting to the point where I think there's 2 or 3 guys. I think 3 guys now, at least 2 or 3 that have been contacted by Arkansas, and now they've committed to a school.
Yeah.
And so you can just wipe them off the board.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we had one of those today. Who was that? Deshaun
Jackson.
Deshaun Jackson, the Charlotte big man.
Yeah, went to Iowa State.
Yeah,
committed
good pickup for Iowa State.
Yeah.
How about shout out to them, man? Like in the Sweet 16, still playing basketball, picking up, premium centers out of the portal. So that's pretty good work by TJ Otzelberger. I'll give him some credit there for sure.
Yeah, he got him a lane clogger.
Yeah, no kidding, man. He's a big fella. And we'll see, still nothing from Arkansas, but it's coming. Everybody, don't worry. They're not going to go into next season without a roster, which is currently the situation. So the portal splashes are coming. And one guy we talked about at length yesterday, but I heard from him this morning, UMass big man Josh Cohen. He sent me a message this morning and just confirmed that he will be starting his official visit in Fayetteville tomorrow. It's kind of what we heard, but it wasn't 100% locked down.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to work out a few different visits in a few different places. But Arkansas is going to be the first stop. He'll be here tomorrow. So good. That's a hell of a start, right? We talked about it. And yesterday, I kind of made the case for Cohen in terms of his offensive game, his production over the course of the last few years against high major programs, good competition. But then naturally I started to see some people chiming in saying, well, but can he defend? What about his defense? What about his defense?
Yeah.
You got me. I'm a scoring-minded guy. Okay, I'm an offense-first guy. I get it. But you did some digging on some defensive numbers, and maybe you can make the case for Cohen on that end of the floor.
All right. I don't know how convincing this is going to be, but
you sold me already.
Defensive metrics they're more difficult to find than offensive numbers, right? Mm. What can you look at, defensive rating, and then block percentage, steal percentage, that kind of thing? Because, there's no official stat for, shots deterred at the rim or times that a guard comes into the lane, sees Josh Cohen at the rim, and decides he's going to dribble the ball out. There's nothing for that.
Right.
But you can go by defensive rating, which can also be tricky. If a guy's on a bad defensive team, there's a good chance that his defensive rating's not going to be good. But I looked into the defensive rating. I went to UMass's sports reference page. There were 9 UMass players last season who played 280 or more minutes. Only 3 of them had a better defensive rating than Cohen, and his defensive rating was 102.9. Now, trying to look for a comparison for that, it's hard also, but we'll keep it local. Arkansas last season went and looked at their defensive numbers and stuff. Not exactly apples to apples. I understand that.
Sure.
Mekhi Mitchell had a defensive rating of 107.3. And so, the competition is different. Defensive skill sets are different. Cohen had more steals He had 28 last season. Then 7 players on the all A10 postseason teams.
Okay.
Including 3 guards that made that team. And the last thing that I wanted to mention was, like, if people are worried about the lack of shot blocking, because he's, like we've talked about, not the most athletic guy, blocking shots doesn't exactly make you a great defensive player or a great defensive team. It's like, case in point, Arkansas this year. Like, it's the worst Arkansas defense I can remember in years, but they were number 8 in the country in block percentage as a defense. So numbers can be a little bit tricky, and sometimes they're hard to find to really nail down. Like, what we need is synergy. That's what we need, is like how did he defend? How was he defending post ups and that kind of thing? Defending the pick and roll when he got, in drop coverage, how was he? I don't have access to that. So maybe somebody who does can hit me up and shoot bullet holes in my argument, but I'm not super worried about Josh Cohen defensively. And plus, like, what ideally would his role be? Would it be like first big off the bench kind of guy?
Probably so. He's certainly not going to be the guy that you look at to be your enforcer and rim protector. That they're looking at other guys for that,
right?
And so that's not really what you're looking for with him. And
so you just need him to play those minutes well.
Yeah, play those minutes well. He's not a small guy. I understand the athleticism.
Yeah.
But like, you take a look at his film and some of the photos. Like, he's a broad-shouldered kid. He's tall. And I think the thing with Cohen is, one, if you can play defense and stay on the floor for Frank Martin, you can do it for Eric Musselman.
Agreed.
Because that's a non-negotiable for a Frank Martin coach team. So he certainly did his part from that standpoint. But he's a smart player. He's a high IQ player.
Yeah.
Again, not the most athletic, probably not the best. Like, you're not going to switch him off on a point guard and ball screens and expect him to keep a guy in front. But he's going to understand the systems. His rotations are going to be on time. He's going to be where he needs to be when he's supposed to be there. And he's not going to be the weak link on a 5-man unit. And he might be back there directing traffic. And so I get it. Like, okay, if Zach Edey posts him up, next year, he's probably going to score on him. Okay. And so, like, when those situations come up, that might be what happens, but that's only a small sample size of what you have in a defender. Remember how good of a defender, a team defender, that Jalen Williams was.
Yeah.
He wasn't an above the rim guy. And when they would leave him out on an island sometimes against Sheboy or Colin Castleton or whoever, he'd get cooked one-on-one.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. But he was a great defender. His rotations were always solid. He knew how to step over and, in his case, take charges. Maybe Cohen will bring the charge back to college basketball. I don't know. But from a defensive standpoint, I would think more on that line of things than the above the rim, meet you at the square, block your shot, and chest bump you out of bounds kind of guy. Hopefully they get that dude, but it ain't him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, an understanding of the role there, and I think you could have a pretty good piece. And we'll see what comes of the visit. Like we said yesterday, if you're Arkansas, you're going in this thing thinking, hey, we need to make a splash here. Got this guy on campus, and you need to try to lock it up while he's here and see if you can get him to cancel those other visits. Who knows if that's going to happen, but I think that's got to be the goal for him going into it.
For sure. I saw somebody else, I think, tweeted at us today, and I guess they watched his tape and were like, can this guy do anything on the left block? or is he just like a right block dominant guy? Look, I'm looking at his at the rim numbers, 70% on 146 attempts, and then in the lane, like, he was 43.7%. And so, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that, not to say it's nitpicky, but
I'll say it.
I mean, Eric, if Eric knows, if he gets this kid and he knows that the guy's good on the right block, he's going to put him on the right block. Mm-hmm. That's just how it is. So I'm not too worried about his left block post up game.
I'm not worried about Josh Cohen scoring.
Yeah.
When he gets touches, that I am not worried about against anybody. So I think it would be a nice piece. I think he's absolutely a rotation guy and somebody that could help him. So we'll see if they get him. but he's definitely a guy that's been prioritized, and there are a couple others who have been prioritized, and we got some other nuggets to share with you guys. But before we do, definitely want to take a moment and tell you guys about our friends over at Signature Bank. Listen, Signature Bank, it's a privately held boutique bank it's redefining the banking experience in our region. They blend the warmth and familiarity of a community bank with the sophistication of a commercial bank and the expertise of private banking to deliver unmatched levels of service. If you're looking for reasons to bank with Signature, well, there's a lot of them. And I think it starts with how personally invested they are with their clients. They take a concierge approach to banking, offering personalized solutions that go beyond your expectations. They remove the friction from banking. Have you ever been in the bank and it's just kind of weird? Anytime you're talking to somebody about money.
In the bank.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm a drive-through kind of guy. In fact, when I get my paychecks in the past, I've always been like a mobile deposit kind of guy. I'm just weird about it.
Yeah,
but
I'm
if you
the
can
drive-through teller.
Yeah, if you take that weirdness away from it, and that's something they try to do. They make their products and services easy to understand and access. You have business goals that you're trying to solve, and they have banking products that can answer them. They help you take care of what's important in life, which quite honestly is your money, your business, your home, and your family. And they're good about that. So make sure you get out to one of the locations in Arkansas, or check them out at www.signature.bank to learn more. Appreciate those guys and everything that they do. But to get back to it here, Scottie, we got a couple other nuggets that we got to tell people about.
I like nuggets.
Man, we've had it confirmed by multiple sources now, and this is somebody that we talked about a little bit. And in fairness, I don't think we necessarily thought that it was really going to go anywhere, but we have it confirmed that Arkansas has extended an offer to Division II Arkansas Tech guard, Russellville boy, Talon Peter. How about that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. So, this is a guy who absolutely torched Division II. Started his career D1. I mean, he was at Tennessee Tech. I don't know. I wonder if that overlapped with John Pelfrey.
Oh, that's a
while
good
he was
question.
there. I wonder if he was that might change my thoughts on him. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I was almost sold, but now I'm thinking, I don't know if this guy's really the best decision maker or not, but we'll see. But man, he went to Arkansas Tech and blew up. He was awesome. He was the GAC Player of the Year this season. He was all region for the Central region, and he's got some crazy numbers. I mean, if you look at his field goal percentages, from the field, from three, from the free throw line, he's one of two guys in the entire country in Division II that was over 50% from the field, 40% from three, and 85% from the free throw line. Like that plays anywhere.
Yeah.
I would just probably caution people of, getting caught up on the D2 thing, because On3 ranks this kid as the number 32 overall transfer. There's more than 800 people in the portal right now. He's ahead of Devo Davis.
Right ahead of him. Like literally the next spot above him.
Yeah. And if you take a look at his list of contacts and people who at least saw enough on film to say, hey, we need to reach out and see what's going on with this kid, you're going to see quite a few high majors on there, some really good mid-major programs. So this dude's no slouch. And it sounds like Arkansas has seen enough to extend an offer there. So
I think he's got a lot of suitors. And I was told last week, like Arkansas was among the schools that had reached out. Mizzou, like I mentioned, really liked him. Ole Miss, Texas Tech, some of those type schools. Nevada also. So I don't think, listen, you can be skeptical of a D2 kid.
That's fair, yeah.
These schools that are reaching out, they're reaching out for a reason, man. They know more ball than we do.
You see Division II guys hit the portal.
They do their homework
all the time. And you'll see those contact lists come out. And guys, it's just like a low major or mid major player trying to transfer up to a high major. A lot of times you'll see a D2 guy and you look at those contact lists that come out and it's a bunch of low majors, a bunch of small D1 schools. So it's like a baby step. Well, that's just not the case with him. And, you mentioned some of the schools that have been, showing interest and getting involved there. They think this kid can play. He's got enough size on him. He's 6'4". He's about 185 pounds. He's kind of saucy.
He's got a nice frame.
Yeah, he's got a nice frame on him. He's got some wiggle. He loves that step back three. And you can sell me on anybody who can come in and knock down a bunch of threes. Like that's
for sure. We don't know what that's like.
Yeah, I don't know what that's like. I don't know how it feels. So sign me up for that, please.
We haven't seen it since Isaiah Joe and Mason Jones, it feels like.
Yeah, exactly.
Text today, quote, he can really play, shoots it well, and pretty athletic. That I mean, I don't know if Arkansas ends up getting him or what, but I would really hate for it to be a situation where, Arkansas potentially doesn't get him and he goes somewhere else, and then you hear his name a lot.
Yeah.
Next season. That would be pretty tough. But
yeah, for sure.
These schools are doing their homework on him, and I trust the person I reached out to enough. Like, he knows his ball, really familiar with the kid's game and who he is, and he can play straight up. And maybe the thing that I like about him the most, and this might be a little strange, you watch his tape, he kicks that leg out when he shoots his threes, a little bit of flair there. So I'm a fan of his tape for sure.
Yeah, me too. And so we'll see how that progresses. And I don't know exactly what his plans are in terms of, I don't know if he's trying to take any visits or anything like that. Plan on reaching out to him later today and seeing what's going on there. But I know people in this state get excited about in-state kids.
Sure.
And he's one of them. And it's really just an unfair tease that I'm throwing out there. But I would keep that whole in-state kid thing in mind here probably within the next day or two.
Okay.
So there you go.
I got another small nugget.
Okay, I like that. We love nuggets around here.
You asked about John Pelfrey.
Yes.
They overlapped.
Dang it. Sorry he's out.
2020-2021 season, John Pelfrey was at Tennessee Tech, as was Talon Peter.
Well, but he left.
He did leave.
Okay, so maybe he does have, everybody gets a second chance in life, right? And so if he made a bad decision and, had a tough situation to deal with there, he realized it quick enough and he salvaged a hell of a career.
Yeah.
So maybe that actually tells me even more about his character, and I shouldn't doubt him.
You can't keep him down.
You can't keep a man down, yeah. Because that's a tough blow to be dealt, no doubt about it.
Sure.
Oh, man, I love it. Okay. And then one guy that we've talked about quite a bit over the course of the last week, whether it was when we're identifying our prototypes or early entrance into the portal where we would probably need to pay attention to this dude because he fits the freaking mold and what they're looking for. Darlington DeBar at Hofstra. Buddy. I mean, 6'8", shoots the absolute crap out of it. I think he made 73 three-pointers last season. He shot it just a tick under 40%. He's made 115 threes the last 2 years at over 40%. We're talking about a guy who's 6'8". And we've talked about him in the past, like a couple years ago when, Hofstra went and took down Arkansas and Simmons Bank. This is a dude who was young, and he is more of a rotation piece at that time. He had 11 points, 5 boards, 5 steals on the Hogs. Yeah. And he's kind of emerged as one of their better players and one of the most coveted transfers. He's top 20 over at On3 right now. Not only is Arkansas prioritizing him very heavily, they are finalizing a date to get him on campus for an official visit that could happen as soon as sometime this week. So
there you go.
You got to get to the finish line there. He's one of the guys who is going to come at a premium when we talk about NIL and some of the offers that are going to be thrown around at him because you just can't teach that size and shooting ability that he has. But Arkansas wants him. They want him in a bad way. And, you think back to the relationships there with Muss, Speedy Claxton, the familiarity. I think he's definitely going to be a guy that they're all over. And you get him on campus, all bets are off. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens there.
He's the pull it out of the left pocket, pull it out of the net kid.
Correct.
Right? Yeah, there's a lot to like with him and the Keaton Miles build. Don't let that scare you. Okay, listen, I watched Keaton Miles here.
Yeah.
Darlington DeBar is a better player than Keaton Miles was. Just think that frame, that length, the height, all of that with a bag that schools are going to have to pay a lot of money for probably. Like this he's super talented. Got 24-8 on Duke, 23-5 on St. John's, a couple 30-point games. Get him on campus and just treat him like a king. Yeah.
Yes. This is definitely a red carpet type of deal
for sure.
So one to keep an eye on there for sure. And yeah, I mean it's exciting. Again, like we're waiting on things to pop off here, but they're starting to legitimately get the ball rolling. Starting to the Must Bus was all over the country, recruiting and doing in-homes over the weekend. Now they're starting to get guys rolling into campus here and there. So it's starting to take off. So you love to see it. Monday, kind of like we talked about yesterday, we knew that today was going to be a big day in terms of guys hitting the portal. Really just because it's, all but 16 teams have now been eliminated from the NCAA tournament. So you've got all these kids who their seasons are over and they head home and they submit some paperwork, and then all the compliance people show up at their office on Monday morning and they file it to the NCAA, and then guys hit the portal, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we've seen so far. So there's several dudes here. It's just like the beginning of last week, right, where you would see a bunch of guys hit the portal, and it would be a day or two, and you'd start getting the so-and-so is interested, so-and-so has reached out. But there are definitely some guys here who Arkansas is 100% not only going to reach out to, but going to pursue heavily. I want to touch on a handful of them, but before we do, I know because there's a new contact today that Arkansas has made, another Ivy League man, and I feel like I've got to turn the floor over to you because you've been, I don't want to say drooling, but you've just been happily viewing the film of this dude over and over and over all morning and afternoon.
You agree that I was drooling over him? I watched his film. You look at his profile on our big board, he has like 5 clickable links. 2 of them, one of them is offense film, the other is defense film. I'm glad that they split those up. It's 2 different videos, two different channels that put them out. But watch Justice Ajogbor from Harvard, 6'10", 255-pound forward. I put his build as a more athletic Mikael Mitchell.
Very, very well said. Yeah.
I think it was initially, you just watch a guy and you're just trying to get a feel for him maybe in the first 20 or 30 seconds that you're watching him. And he wears 22 in red and white. And so immediately I'm thinking Mikael Mitchell.
Yes.
But this kid moves. He's so light on his feet, Curtis. It's crazy. Looked at his KenPom page last season, number 2 in the country in block rate.
Number 2 in the country?
Number 2 in the country in block rate, 13.6%. And he was inside the top 150 in offensive rebound percentage, 11.1%. So if you're trying to understand what that means, this kid blocked 13.6% of the 2-point shots that were taken by the opponent when he was on the floor. Which is wild.
That good?
That's pretty good. And the offensive rebound rate means he grabbed 11.1% of his team's missed shots or available missed shots when he was on the floor. It's pretty good. He missed 7 games last season. I haven't done a whole lot of digging as to why. It could be as simple as like an ankle or something.
Sure.
But he closed the season so well, blocked at least 3 shots in 13 games last season, including each of the last 7.
We were watching that film today and just laughing at how bad we felt for the other guys in the Ivy League.
Absolutely.
Like, you want to talk about, like which one of these is not like the other. He just stands out against all those guys.
He really does.
He is an absolute monster.
He is. So I guess Harvard's got like this brick wall that's probably like 10 or 12 feet behind one of their baskets. Mm-hmm. Watch that defense tape and you'll see a ball bounce off of it.
Yes. Aggressively.
It's aggressive. His defensive anticipation is really good. Like, he doesn't, I get it. These are highlights. Like, they're not going to put him biting on a 6'2" guard shot fake and then, a little scoop around him. But from what is on that tape, defensive anticipation is really good.
He's fleet of foot.
He really is,
his
man.
size.
He's bouncy. Defensively, he's really good at just timing shots, like shot fake, shot fake, shot fake. He's still on his feet. And then when the ball goes in the air, he's quick enough, light enough on his feet where he'll go up and just smack it around. Mm-hmm. Always love a guy, too, that whenever he goes up for a dunk and he puts the ball through the rim and his arms are on the same plane.
Yes, that's always a good sign.
The kid gets up, man.
Did you see the I hate to get off track here. Did you see the kid from VCU? The little viral clip that's going around of his, I guess they're in the NIT or whatever, and he went up for a dunk and was just above the rim and just kind of looking down at it and just drops the ball inside. And people were just like, it's not normal, dude.
Yeah, that is not normal for sure. No, I totally missed it. I threw in, because we like nuggets around here, at the end of Ajogbor's profile, I wrote that he enjoys hiking. There's a lot of places to hike around here, my guy, like a lot. And so if you're interested,
he might get mistaken for Bigfoot if he's in the wrong area. That's a I mean, that's a big dude.
For sure. But there's it's unlimited.
Yeah.
It's unlimited up here for sure. He likes to travel. I believe he's from Nigeria. So if he comes to the States to play ball, he probably does like to travel. He stuck around Harvard for a while and likes the outdoors. So there's your pitch right there.
Yeah, man. There we go. I love it.
Protect the rim and go down to Devil's Den the next day.
Yeah. And this is a dude who's, again, has been in the portal for a little bit now and has heard from Arkansas among plenty of others. They're just all over the Ivy League trying to get the smart guys in here.
Yeah.
You know?
Going for the big brains.
And the one thing I've noticed is many of these Ivy League guys that we've seen and evaluated now, they're better than I thought. A lot of them, man. They got some players in that league. And there is a certain style that they play, and it's high on execution, and it's just true. Like, it's not a stereotype; it's true. But they've got some athletes now. Don't sleep on them. So
sure.
I would not be upset at all if Arkansas put the pedal to the metal with this dude. And then some of the names who've entered today that we don't have any official word that Arkansas's reached out to them, but we just know it's going to happen, and we know they're going to be all over them. South Dakota State forward William Kyle, 6'9", 230 pounds. This dude is the real deal. He's immediately pretty damn high up on my list of big guys. He was a Summit League all-newcomer team last year. He won Summit League Defensive Player of the Year this year, and he was a first-team All-Summit League guy. I keep saying Summit League because we know that Arkansas loves guys from the Summit League. They had great success with Stanley Amude, multiple dudes on the coaching staff who either played or have coached in the Summit League in the past.
Right.
Tons of connections there. So that always is like an antennas up thing for me. 13.1 points per game, 6.6 rebounds per game, a block and a half. He is explosive. Based on what we saw in the film, he will rise up and dunk it on your head. He gets on the glass. He had 14 and 7 with 4 assists on Iowa State in the NCAA tournament, like this past weekend. So that plays,
like that, yeah.
You know, if you can do that in Iowa State, you can probably hold your own in the SEC.
No joke.
He actually had 8 points and 2 rebounds in 15 minutes at Bud Walton last year in that game when South Dakota State came to town. And was that also the game where, was that the Trevin Brazil dunk? Was that South Dakota State?
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
it was.
It was not that dude who got dunked on.
It wasn't.
Just for the record, it was not him. Okay, let's be clear about that.
That man has perished.
yeah, he's no longer with us. R.I.P. We'll pour one out for you later, man.
The family still asks that you respect his privacy.
Yeah, exactly. William Kyle, I love this guy, and I think Arkansas is going to be all over him, and we'll see what happens. He's from Nebraska, so you keep an eye on a resurgent Nebraska team under Fred Hoiberg. Probably keep an eye on an Iowa State, a lot of those Creighton, right? A lot of those places in the region. But that familiarity is there with Arkansas, and we'll see what happens with it. So
yeah,
nice piece.
He's Ken Palm has him 81st nationally in block percentage, top 100 in true shooting percentage. So that's, I mean, he's efficient, can block some shots for you. Pulled up his shot chart a few minutes ago. He took 5 total shots outside the lane. So it's a guy that knows what he's good at and he sticks to it. Almost 74% at the rim on 174 attempts.
Now we're talking.
And he was almost 50% on other shots in the lane. So
and I have a feeling a lot of those were dunks.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might have to look at Torvik to see how many dunks he put down. There are a lot of really cool features about Torvik. Like, I love their tourney cast simulator. I love in the off seasons as rosters start to get formed and they have their analytics projections player by player. They have like they'll give you 10 teams who have similar resumes from the past. Like, if you're looking at, is this going to be a team that makes the tournament or whatever? But I love seeing the dunk stat. Oh, Curtis, I'm kind of, my mind's a little bit blown at the moment. South Dakota State this past season had 101 dunks as a team.
Okay.
William Kyle had 88 of them.
Let's go, man. Get him in here. What are we doing? Get him in here. 88 dunks?
88.
I'm going to tell you right now, Arkansas did not have 88 dunks.
Nobody else on that roster had more than 6.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Tell me how many dunks Arkansas had as a team. I bet it's below 88.
Let me see. They had 77.
There you go. There you go, people. You like highlights?
There
William
you go.
Kyle will give them to
Yeah,
you.
he's a highlight.
Okay, moving on. We're going to be talking about this guy
My
a lot,
goodness.
I think, over the
Yeah.
next couple of weeks. Another one, friend of the board, and the original, the OG, if you will, brick shithouse build. Furman's Alex Williams has hit the portal. We're 3 for 3 on them Furman boys, Scotty.
Yeah, man.
We nailed it. All
Yep.
3 of them. He's available. I know we both really like this guy. He's a large human being who can really shoot the heck out of it from 3.
Mm-hmm. The notes in here, I think you built his profile when you should have. You come up with a build like that. Big time shooter and a matchup nightmare, and you wrote torched Trevor in Brazil with 20 points and 5 made threes.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we watched his tape out there, dude. It's just it's catch and release with little conscience. But he also put it on the floor too.
Oh, yeah.
Really good range, and I don't know, like he's like a linebacker type
Yeah,
guy,
6'5",
SEC tight end type guy.
235. Is that what he's
Yeah.
listed at? That's literally.
Maybe should have.
He's
put his
bigger
build
than
as
most
like,
of Arkansas's linebackers now. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Tune in to the Pod of That Nature. That's a tease for you. But no, yeah, in all seriousness, he looks like a college football player, moves and plays like a college basketball player. He's really good, man. And he is very much that muscleman type of dude who you have a guy like that, muscle play him at the 4.
Yeah,
Muscle play him at the 5
Yeah.
if they go small, and you'll be fine because he's stronger than everybody else on the floor, and he can space the floor, guard multiple positions. Like he definitely fits the mold. And honestly, if I was really ranking those Furman guys, I would start with Pegues. So don't throw anything at me, but I might go Williams over Foster in terms of who I think could help him the most.
yeah, what he can do for you,
Yeah.
for sure. I'd said he looks like an SEC tight end build wise, and so who's the SEC tight end that you know? Who's the name?
Well, Luke is the name that I know. Brock Bowers.
Fair enough. Brock Bowers is 6'4", 240.
There you go.
Alex Williams is 6'5", 235.
There you go.
Basically, Brock Bowers. We
Yeah.
should change it to. No, we're not changing the build, but we can.
But you
do
heard it here.
And Brock Bowers.
Yeah. When we get him in here after he commits to Arkansas and he's on the show, we'll ask him about his football playing days.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, maybe we'll get him connected with Sam Pittman.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh yeah. Next two sport guy. First
Yeah.
since what? Jamario Bell.
Ooh, yeah.
I think because Jamario Bell played for Eric his first year.
He did.
I remember
And
he went down there for that Valpo game.
Yeah, he got a
Yeah.
little bit of tick there. Big fella. I love it. Another one, speaking of large human beings, Oklahoma's Otega Uwe, another guy that Arkansas has actually seen twice now. A large human, like 6'5", okay, 215 seems light. Like that dude
Yeah, I
is
agree with that.
chiseled though. So if he's 215, he's like 4.5% body fat. Like,
Yeah.
that dude is he's carved up. He had 14 on the Hogs this year in that game in Tulsa. High steals guy, very physical, improved from 3 this season from like just not shooting them to knocking down 20 at a decent percentage.
Yeah.
He was a dude who was blistering hot early in the year. Like I remember writing some pregame stuff for that game at the BOK Center, and he was shooting like nearly 70% from the
Yeah.
field. It was nuts. So he cooled off a lot, but still had a really good season for Oklahoma. The only thing I can't remember, was he the dude that pissed Muss off?
I think he was.
And got him
It was either
tossed?
him or Rivaldo Soares.
Yeah.
It was one of those two guys. It was probably both, to be
Yeah.
honest.
And
Those
so
guys like to talk a lot.
on the surface, you would think, well, maybe that's not a guy that Muss would pursue. But it takes me back to a story I wrote at my last stop about a year ago, where I just interviewed a bunch of guys who had either coached with or played for Muss in the past. And this is somebody who was with Muss back in the old CBA days. And there was a dude, I can't remember his name, but he played college ball at Texas, and he was in the G League, and Muss's team was playing against them, and the dude couldn't shoot. He's not a threat from the outside. And so Muss was just yelling, don't guard him, back up, whatever, help off, whatever. And the dude got pissed about it and started mouthing off at him. He was like, I'll come kick your ass, right? So like was threatening to beat up Muss. And Muss said, yeah, he said, you might do that in a fight, but I'll kick your ass in a game of horse. And so there's a story that one of these dudes who coached with Muss said the next day they traded for him and got him on the roster, and he wound up being one of the best players on their team.
That's incredible.
Muss loves that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, he freaking flipped his lid, right? And at that whole, and it's a common thing for whatever reason in Tulsa. But it may or may not have been because of Otega Owe. It doesn't matter. They're going to be all over him. And it's probably a good starting point for the conversation. Honestly, like, hey, you remember when you were about to body slam me, but Ronnie Brewer held me back, or, you know? So we'll see what happens there.
Good icebreaker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just don't do that in practice next year. Okay,
Right.
thanks.
Exactly. No, he was a nice player for sure. I had him on Ken Palm. He was top 100 in steal percentage, and he was top 10 in the Big 12 in fouls drawn per 40. Didn't shoot a ton of free throws, honestly, and there's some to be desired there. But Torvik close to or at the rim, or he's got. What is this? 21 out of 22 on dunks, and then he shot 59% on close twos. Could you probably do a little bit of work on some of those long twos or mid-range twos? But, I mean, you talked about the start that he got off to earlier this year or early last season. It was crazy, and probably what hurt it was just more volume, right? Like he was a guy that was going like 6 for 8 or, 6 for 7 from the field, and so maybe some volume
for sure
maybe damaged those numbers a little bit. But I think he's a nice player.
I do too. Scottie, I think it's time.
All right,
you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay. Like we said at the top of the show, we wanted to have a little bit of fun today because like we've been going through and just giving our top 5 lists or whatever at different positions, but the amount of people Arkansas has contacted, like you said, like we're well over 40, probably pushing 50 by now. So we're gonna go from that pool of transfers, available transfers that Arkansas has been confirmed to be in contact with, and we're going to go back and forth here, and we're each going to draft not only a lineup, but our bench, and we're going to go 2 deep in the bench, so 7 guys, and we'll see what we do with that, but we'll see which kind of lineup we like. We have determined at the beginning of, or right before the start of the show, that you get the first pick.
Just put the pressure on.
You've earned it. So
I don't know about that.
You are officially on the clock. And with the first pick in the Natty State Sports Transfer Portal Arkansas Contact Lineup Draft, Scottie Bordelon selects.
I'm going with JP Pegues, man.
I knew it.
Listen, this is not just like me blowing smoke.
Yeah.
Because I like this kid a lot. Part of it is that. But just like I said yesterday, you need a guy who will stabilize your backcourt, get you into your offense, and can also go get his own. And the kid's a winner, dude. Like Berman didn't have a great year this year relative to last season, but he's just a winner, dude. And I think you put him, in a situation where he's got all these resources here at Arkansas. I think he'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't really know about him is, is he capable of guarding a 1 every night in the league? But I'm willing to see if he can.
I love it. Do you know who I'm going with? Like, do you have a hunch of who I'm taking?
Yeah, probably the number 2 guy on my list.
Well, see, I'm torn. Like, I'm thinking strategically here. You're solidifying the backcourt. I think I'm going to solidify the front court actually to start with. I'm going with Big Cliff, man. Going with Big Cliff from Rutgers.
Okay, like that.
I still don't know how to say his last name, but he is a terrorizing defender. One of the best shot blockers in the country. Proven 4-year guy. He is kind of a guy who can be a foundation and a centerpiece on the defensive end of the floor, and he can catch the ball and dunk it. So that is my pick. You're going guard, I'm going big, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, there you go. I'm torn because I know that I want a big with this second pick, and there's like
some good ones.
Legitimately like 5 guys that I could pick from this group. And I think I might come back around later on him if he's still available. I think I would go with Amari Williams at
That's a
Drexel.
good pick, man. That's a really good pick.
3 times CAA Defensive Player of the Year, 3 times running. I mean, that kid, like, he's gonna block shots and offensive rebound for you, and he's gonna scare guards and probably other big men away from the rim.
I'm going Darlingstone, DeBar. Get him in here.
That was a tough one. That was
Get
a
him
tough
in
one.
here.
I knew that one was coming.
I love the idea of versatility and switchability. If you got a guy like Big Cliff from Rutgers patrolling the paint, I think you can get a guy like Darlingstone, play him at the 4 even, and just space the floor. You've still got plenty of length. And, you give me a dude who can shoot 40% from 3, I'm in. If he's 6'8" and he can do it, I'm double in. Just a big fan of his. And so I continue to go with length up front. So that's where I'm at.
There you go. I like that pick a lot. I'm sure that I'm going to say this name, and there's going to be some people listening that are like, "What are you doing?" Give me Tyron Lawrence.
Dang it. Okay, it's a good pick.
SEC kid, knows the
pick.
league, and he gives everybody in the league problems.
He does, man.
And if Tyron Lawrence winds up here, Malik Dia might follow. So it could be a twofer.
Yeah. Yes, that is very, very true. That was going to be my next pick, just for the record.
Tyron Lawrence is a good one, man.
I'm a big Ty Lawrence guy, man. Let's see. I'm going to go.
I'm nervous about this pick you're about to make.
I'm nervous about this pick that I'm about to make. I tell you what, we're just gonna go supersized here. I'm getting McKeel Brown-Jones.
I knew you were going to do that.
I'm getting McKeel Brown-Jones.
Freaking knew it, Curtis.
My UNCG guy.
That's tough.
Imagine
that's where I was going next.
Imagine a 3-4-5 of Darlingstone DeBar, 40% 3-point shooter, 6'8" on the wing. You got McKeel Brown-Jones, 6'8", 220, inside out guy, can space the floor, rebound it, finish around the rim, and then just the ultimate rim protector there down low with Cliff. I like it. I'm gonna have to get some ball handling here in a minute, but I like where I'm at right now.
For sure. I'm gonna kind of go in the same vein. I don't want to say that McKeel Brown-Jones and this guy are the same type of player, but they're similar. Brandon Johnson from East Carolina.
He's so good. Yeah. He's another guy who can play that 3 or 4 wherever you need him, man.
Yeah, and he'll shoot it from the 28-foot marker wherever your logo is at half court. I think I need to look at his profile again. But yeah, 14 points, 8.6 boards, almost 2 steals a game, 36.5% from deep, 52 steals and 16 blocks last year. Like he's just kind of a do-it-all type guy at 6'8".
That he is for sure. I need a guard. I'm gonna go Kanan Carlisle.
Okay,
at Stanford.
I like that. Yeah.
I think he is. He's a dude who is probably more of a combo guard, but you can run him at the point. Has got some good size for that position, which must covet. It's not the Anthony Black, Jalen Tate size, but he's 6'3". He's got some length to him, and he was really, really good for Stanford as a true freshman. Not just the numbers that he put up, but also like he missed the first semester of the season almost. And so you're a true freshman. You haven't played any college ball. Then you join a team after they've already played 8-10 games or whatever, and to do what he did, I think that's probably why he's ranked as high as he is on some of those boards that we see. I like him a lot, so I'm going to go with my man Kanan Carlisle at Stanford.
All right, Curtis, I think I'm going to take Deshane Montgomery.
It's a good one, man.
I think that is my starting lineup right there, and so I've got J.P. Pegues, Tyron Lawrence, Montgomery, Brandon Johnson, and Amari Williams as my starters.
It's very good. That is a very good lineup. I need another guard. You know, I think I could go one of two ways here. I think I could go with a traditional 2/3, maybe, with a guy like Marcus Foster, or I think I could roll with a guy like Kanan Carlisle, slide him off the ball, and maybe go with one of these electric type of point guards, scoring point guards that we have on the board. And so I have to make a decision here between two of them. I'm going to go with Jacoby Gillespie.
Oh, I love that.
At Belmont.
Yeah.
Like the way he sets the table. Love that he is a little guy by comparison standards, but just finishes at the rim like none other. It doesn't make any sense, but I really appreciate it. Belmont's a good program. That's my guy, Jacoby Gillespie.
I don't want to call it, it's news.
Okay.
It's not directly related to Arkansas. It may be more directly related to me and someone I've talked about on this pod before. Joe Tipton just now tweeted, South Carolina leading scorer Meechie Johnson will enter the transfer portal.
Ooh, Meechie. We talked to him in Nashville.
We did, yeah.
There's a guy who can go get you a bucket.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Where would you? Okay, we'll get right back to the draft. We got to get our benches now, but we're thinking about like the SEC guys who've hit the portal. Like, where would you go higher on your list or lower on your list than Tyron Lawrence with Meechie Johnson?
Gosh, that's a good question, man. In terms of just like their individual games, I would probably take Tyron Lawrence. But if I need like a lead ball handler, and JP Pegues isn't in the SEC, so I would go with Meechie. But yeah, that's an interesting one, man. I wonder where he goes from South Carolina. He seemed like he was in a good spot at South Carolina, but that was a team that just had a lot of other parts, and so maybe he wants a more featured role somewhere else.
Maybe so, man. Yeah.
Maybe you should have just hung out at Ohio State. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we're back to we're both 5 deep, so we got 2 more to pick from. I think you're up.
I got a guard and a big here, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Give me Justice Ajogbor. I think, Curtis, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to have to do some looking here. So Ajogbor was number 3 in the country in block percentage. Amari Williams at Drexel was 39th. And so there's a lot of rim protection going on here.
Yeah, I'll say. I'm going to go Malik Dia.
Oh, yeah,
Belmont boys.
Yeah, there you go.
You know how I feel about Malik Dia. A dude who started his career at Vanderbilt, transferred over to Belmont and just had a monster season. He's testing the waters. He's also in the transfer portal. Big fella, 6'9", thick bodied, moves well, runs the floor. Another guy who can stretch it out, space it out, and knock down the three, and he's really tough down there in the post. I think he's like him, and you could even run out a lineup maybe with him and Mikal Brown-Jones, and it's just so hard to guard.
Yeah.
It'll kind of remind me of what South Carolina had with Colin Murray-Boyles and B.J. Mack. Like, maybe not the tallest guys out there in the world in the front court, but thick, strong, physical, and versatile who can step out and knock down some threes also. So that's where I'm headed.
There you go. So I need a guard.
You need a guard.
Curtis, I might go back to the Ivy League.
Okay.
Chris Mannon.
I like Chris Mannon.
That's another guy that can help you defensively in the backcourt. And like I feel like every time we've talked about him on the pod, bouncy Mason Jones. I mean, he's not going to get buckets for you like Mason, but just build wise, and he'll rise up. Like there's some surprising moments that he has athletically on that tape. So I'm going to go with Chris Mannon to round out my squad.
I like it. I'm going to go. I'm torn between two. Yeah, I'm going to stay big. I'm going Michael Ajayi, Pepperdine.
All right.
Another big wing.
Yeah.
Big time scorer. and then it's got a couple guards and just a bunch of dudes who are same size and switchable and versatile, and you can do a lot of things with. So that's where we're at. So to recap, and then we'll get out of here and we'll put this together. We'll post it somehow. But Scottie,
I'm gonna get boat raced, dude, on this boat.
I don't know, man. Your starting lineup is J.P. Pegues out of Furman, Tyron Lawrence out of Vanderbilt, Deshane Montgomery out of Mount St. Mary's, Brandon Johnson out of East Carolina, and Amari Williams, big fella, out of Drexel. Your two bench guys. You're boosting the GPA with your bench here, but it's all good. But no, a couple Ivy League guys. Chris Mannon, who is what was his build? The bouncy Mason Jones. Yeah. So that tells you everything you need about him. And then Justice Ajogbor.
That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, who you talked about at length earlier in the pod, and he's just an absolute monster in there. For me, a starting lineup, we're looking at, man, we could kind of get weird with it, but I'm going to go Jacoby Gillespie out of Belmont, Kanan Carlisle, Stanford, Darlin Stone DeBar out of Hofstra, Mikhail Brown-Jones out of, actually, I'm going to go Malik Dia out of Belmont, and then I'm going to go Big Cliff out of Rutgers as my center, and then Mikhail Brown-Jones and Michael Ajayi coming off of the bench. There we go.
I love your lineup, dude.
What do you think, like, just building, and they're going to get some combination of these guys, but, like, what do you think these top sevens, like, where could they finish in an SEC? Because obviously you're going to have other pieces, other guys are going to enter the portal, whatever, but if we were really operating with these lineups and said, all right, that's Arkansas, let's throw them out there, I think they'd be pretty good.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I really do. I think the front courts. I think we're of sound understanding that Arkansas needs help in the front court.
Yep.
So you're probably going to be pretty solid in the restricted area in the lane. You're going to have a bunch of guys that'll scare people off.
Yes,
I know that for a fact.
That's a fact. Yeah.
I like my lineup for the most part. It's just other than Amari Williams, I don't know just a ton about their defensive makeup.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the only thing that's giving me pause. But what I know about them, I really like them. And then yours, like Gillespie's a bucket at a kid that, what is he, 6'1", and he finished at the rim. Something crazy percentage.
What was he? He had 8.9 points per game at the rim or something, or in the lane at his size. Like,
it was wild.
Doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
You got like Gillespie and Carlisle is your 1-2. The guard spots, like that's a lot of table setting. Both of those guys can score it too, though. And then, DeBar is there knocking down shots, and Dia and Cliff, like those two guys are just they're holding it down.
It's nasty
for sure.
I'm
bringing Mikhail Brown, dude. Like your team is going to wax mine because you're bringing Mikhail Brown-Jones off the bench.
The only thing I worry about is not enough ball handling. Gillespie's obviously got it. Carlisle can handle it, but like that's kind of it. I mean, you can put the ball in Darlin Stone's hands or Ajayi's hands, but it's not quite the same.
Yeah.
Pegues, he's such a table setter. Tyron Lawrence can create off the bounce. But I was really hoping that you were just going to overlook Deshane Montgomery. Like I was holding out the whole time because I was like, well, I think I got one more pick. I could wait one more time and then I can get him. And then you snagged him, and it threw everything off for me. I was like, dang.
Yeah.
And that's why I almost went with Jenkins or Foster to get a little bit more there.
Yeah,
but
I thought about going with Foster, but I wasn't going to boost Furman that much.
Yeah.
Maybe when Alex Williams gets contacted, I'll throw him on there.
There we go.
But
we're definitely
you might take him first.
I think we come back here on Monday, and maybe we do this again because we'll probably double the list at that point. I don't know if we do it with new guys. We'll figure it out, but it's a pretty good time. So before we get out of here, Scottie, anything else off the top?
No, not off the top. I just wanted to make sure I got that Michi Johnson note in there. That's potentially a big one.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is, and it's kind of crazy. You never know what's going on, with kids behind the scenes, or if it's an opportunity to get, maybe leverage more NIL. I don't know, but thinking back, just less than 2 weeks ago when we were at Nashville at the SEC tournament. We're physically right in front of Michie Johnson talking to him, and he was just giving glowing reviews about his coach Lamont Paris and telling stories and laughing and talking about how connected the team was. So who knows?
I mean, that's a program that just like set a school record for wins in a season, and their leading scorer on that team is Portland.
Yeah.
And I think we also need to clarify, like you just mentioned, like just because a kid goes in the portal doesn't mean he's leaving.
Yes.
But more often than not, they're gone.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is just, it's
for sure. Tyron Lawrence is a prime example. Like he was in the portal for a month last year, and then he ultimately wound up going back to Vanderbilt. I don't think it's going to be the case this year, but you know the point stands.
It does have a coach there now. They do have a coach there.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I think is going to be a pretty good hire. I was really impressed with what Byington did at JMU, and all these coaching carousel dominoes are like starting to fall into place. But then people fail to realize, like, well, for every coach that leaves one job to take on another, like it creates another opening
for sure.
And so it's just going to keep on trickling down until people start, you know, taking assistant coaches or whatever might happen. But still, some big jobs that are out there open, man. Has Louisville hired anyone yet? I don't think they have.
Not that I'm aware
SMU
of.
hasn't hired anyone yet.
Not that I'm aware of.
What, Washington State came open today?
Yeah. Yeah, their coach took the Stanford job in conference.
Right.
Or is that still in conference?
Well, not anymore, I guess. Yeah.
The world we live in, man.
Oh, man, it's crazy. Yeah, Utah State just came open, which, shoot, man, that's Mountain West. And the Mountain West is adding, is it the Mountain West or the West Coast that's adding Oregon State and Washington State for like next year only? I can't remember which it is. Doesn't matter. Still a really good conference. So a lot of good jobs there that remain open. So it'll be interesting to see. And then that's the other part of this. You know, the portal stays open until May the 1st, but with every coaching job that opens up, those players have a 30-day window to enter the portal. So it's just going to keep on going and going, man. And then grad transfers can enter whenever the heck they want.
Yeah.
And then you'll have the guys who are testing the draft waters that realize they're not going to get selected, and then they enter the portal to try to get a bag or a better opportunity. So like it's going to buckle up, man. It's going to be a long ride still.
And that's how you end up signing Chandler Lawson in late June.
Correct. That is exactly right. That's exactly right. I wonder what it's going to look like. I wonder if Arkansas winds up, you know, because I was thinking about it. I can't remember if we talked about it on the show or if it was just here in the office, but like you kind of wonder if they're going to fill every scholarship based on how many spots they have open. But with so many available players, it almost seems silly not to, like talented players. So it almost makes me wonder if they're going to have another like scholarship caliber guy who's a walk-on again. Because, I mean, let's be honest here. You know, like Keon Minifield was a walk-on. He was a scholarship caliber guy. That wouldn't have happened like if there wasn't NIL in place to cover his school and everything.
Sure.
Like he didn't pay $30,000 to go to the U of A out of pocket or whatever the hell it is. So those things are always an option too. It's just it's a wild time that we're living in here.
It is. You're not lying.
Who's going to win the national championship? We're down to 16 teams.
Oh, UConn, dude.
Yeah, UConn. It's absurd how much better they are than literally everyone else.
There's some juicy matchups later this week because all 8 of the 1 and 2 seeds advanced.
Chalky.
Yeah. But it makes for really good games.
Yes, it
does. When you want to watch really good games, when you have to sit around and wait until 6 o'clock on Thursday and Friday, you want some good games to show up, and they're going to. What
did you think about Wade Taylor's JD Note game last night? What was he, 5 of 26, 5 of 27 from the field? And,
5 for 25, is that right?
Note was more efficient than that against Gonzaga. Barely, but he was.
Just barely, yeah. Wade Taylor, 2 of 13 on 2s, 3 of 13 on 3s.
The couple that he took right at the end of regulation, just some of the worst shots I've ever seen.
21 points on 26 shots, bro. Are you serious? With 9 free throw attempts?
Yeah, bro.
What are we doing here?
But shout out to friend of the board, Anderson Garcia, for hitting the buzzer beater to send it to overtime.
Yeah, no joke.
His 9th three-pointer of the year.
Had a nice dozen points for them, huh?
And also, then we'll get out of here because nobody cares about Houston and Texas A&M. Shout out to Houston's version of Cade Arbogast. When their entire freaking team fouls out in overtime, you got to put in the walk-on guard Nobody can get open. He gets the ball. You put him in the free throw line, misses the first one in a 3-point game. And could you just imagine he had to feel like a noodle, like completely zapped, freaking out, heart rate going. He sank the second one, sealed the game. That was freaking awesome. So good on him.
Yeah,
I love
big
that.
Time. I wanted to throw in one more note from that game. I thought it was really cool that the Houston guys were talking about, just playing hard for Reggie Chaney.
Yeah, man.
It's still
very cool.
it just like still doesn't seem real that Reggie's not here anymore.
I know.
It doesn't.
No, it's a shame. I get upset every time I think about it. But no, I thought that was a really cool gesture that they made there. And
big round of 32 win for 32.
Yeah,
it's pretty neat.
Exactly, it's very cool, and one of many reasons why I like Houston's team a lot. And another one being Kelvin Sampson's intense, man.
Yeah,
and they give up 95 points, which I don't know if that ever happens, and they won a game with 80% of their starting lineup fouled out. So good on them.
Yeah, that's literally the number 2 team in the country in efficiency, dude. Like, those efficiency numbers are like by 100 possessions or whatever. They give up 88 per 100 possessions.
Yeah,
and then give up that many.
Oh, and
at this point, Kelvin's not worried about that really.
No,
it's just
win the game.
What you got to do to win the game and move on.
Yeah, and I know people are like, "Oh boy, like they had such a dogfight with A&M. Good luck in your next matchup. They're going to beat the hell out of Duke."
Oh yeah,
I'm telling you right now, they're going to blow Duke out.
I would imagine,
and I can't wait for it to happen. That Duke is too finesse to handle Houston.
Yeah.
Anyway,
100%.
We've gone for an hour on a Monday. It's a beautiful thing. Enjoyed the draft, man.
Yeah, I did too. Maybe we make that a Monday thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think that sounds good. And then maybe, just maybe, some things start popping off here in the next day or 2 or 3 or 4, or maybe multiple things. I think we're all looking forward to that.
For sure.
These pods will take a different turn and probably be live in variety when those things start to happen.
Yeah.
So we're definitely looking forward to it. But as always, really, really do appreciate everybody for rocking with us and following along. Had a lot of people who've reached out and been like, "Oh, just waiting every day for the next episode to come out." And for those of you who are listening to this every day, you are as crazy as us for talking about it every day. So you are one of us, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, I look forward to doing this every day.
Yeah,
like,
man,
we've
good
gotten
times.
to the point where it's just, we were like, when portal season started, we were like, yeah, maybe we do it, just when something happens big. But now it's just like, hey, we can come in here and talk about the contacts and make sure that if something does happen, you guys know all about them already.
Yeah, make sure people.
So
are familiar.
appreciate everybody listening and the response and just the numbers.
Yeah,
just
it's been very cool, man.
Thank y'all for that.
Heck yeah, for sure.
It's been a blast.
Well, we're going to get out of here, and we will be back, I'm certain of it, tomorrow to talk about some more stuff. We'll see what all it entails. So be on the lookout for that. Also be on the lookout for us on Thursday. We're all going to be out at Twin Peaks in Rogers, going live. John Neighbor Show, 4 to 6. And then we might hang out there for a while and watch some March Madness games. So come out. Man, I mean, I've been out there before. Good food. The beer is literally ice cold. It's the coldest beer you can get if that's your thing.
I think they've got the beer temp on like a literal meter.
And it's like sub 30 degrees. That's what I'm talking about right there. So we're going to be out there hanging out, man. And you guys should be out there too. Come see us. But for Scottie Borderline, it's been Curtis Wilkerson, Natty State Sports, the pod at the Palace, pod in the portal, the pod formerly known as at the Palace, whatever you want to call it. That's what we're doing. And we'll do it again tomorrow. We'll see you guys.